Hello everyone, so this is Farhadi Maha from Madhura Sandhya Public School, back again with your political science class of class 12. In the last lecture, we have completed with the third chapter of politics in India since independence, where we talked about India's foreign policy. So today we are going to begin the new chapter, the third chapter of contemporary world politics. Here I would like to tell you one thing. In the old books, the third chapter is of US hegemony. Many of the parts are not included in this year's syllabus, so the remaining few parts of it which are included, we will take it up after this lecture, after this chapter. So in this chapter, we will be talking about the new centers of power. The existence of the new centers of power, the basic aim of setting up these centers was to actually limit the America's dominance, which was established after the disintegration of the Soviet Union. In this chapter, we will be talking about various organizations like the European Union, the ASEAN, SAARC and BRICS. So today we will be beginning, without any more wastage of time, we will be beginning with the first organization, that is the European Union. Most of you must be well aware of it. We keep on hearing this term off and on in the news. So what is the European Union? Basically, it is a political and economic union of 27 member states that are located primarily in Europe. What led to the formation of the European Union? A series of events that led to the formation of European Union. To begin with, after the Second World War ended, there was a lot of unrest, there was a lot of tension, there was a lot of disintegration in the entire world, and the Second World War had shattered many of the assumptions and structures on which the European states had based their relationship till then. As a result, in 1945, the European states confronted the ruin of their economies and they planned for an integration so as to achieve the target of rapid economic development. As a result, this European integration was aided by the Cold War. And not only this, America extended the financial help for reviving the Europe economy according to a plan which was known as the Marshall Plan. Now this Marshall Plan led to the formation of a very important organization, and that was the Organization for European Economic Cooperation, or the OEEC, which was established in 1948. The main purpose of this organization was to channel aid to the West European states, and moreover, this OEEC became a forum where Western European states, they began to cooperate on the trade and economic issues. This was not the last thing. What happened? That this organization was led to a series of events, and the next step was the establishment of the Council of Europe in 1949, and the main purpose of the establishment of this council was political cooperation. This gradually led to another step, and that was the formation of EEC, that is the European Economic Community, in 1957. This was the same period when this further led on to the series of events, and during this period, finally, when in the 90s there was a collapse of Soviet Union, and this collapse of Soviet Union, what it did, it put Europe on a very fast track, and this finally led to the formation of the European Union in 1992. And the main purpose of formation of the European Union was that for common foreign and security policy, cooperation on justice and home affairs, and the creation of a single currency. So basically, the European Union was set up to increase the development pace in the European area. This European Union, which had initially began as an economic union, this further led to the formation of a political union. So we can say the European Union evolved from an economic union to a political union, though it did not have its own parliament, but yes, it has its own flag, anthem, a founding date and a currency, that is euro. Not only this, the European Union has economic, political, diplomatic and military influence on all the member states and on the rest of the world. Moreover, it is the world's second biggest economy with a GDP of more than $17 trillion in 2016. That is next to that of United States of America. See, one thing I like to tell you, whatever figures we are using the one which are there in NCERT. So there might be a minor change here and there, but we always authenticate whatever is done in NCERT. So there might be a few change in this term. Next, the share of European Union in the world trade was even larger than that of USA. The European Union also functions as an important bloc in various international organizations like the WTO, that is the World Trade Organization. The European Union also has a political and diplomatic influence on the rest of the world. One very important thing about the European Union is that two of its members, that is Britain and France, they hold permanent seats in the United Nations. Moreover, it also includes several non-permanent members of the UN Security Council. This was all on the political and diplomatic front. If you talk about the military front, then militarily the European Union, the combined forces of European Union are the second largest in the world. Whereas its members like Britain and France, they account for the nuclear arsenals of approximately 550 nuclear heads. On the science and technology front also, European Union stands for the world's second most important source of space and communication technology. So this was all is the importance of European Union and what all it is achieving for its member states. But as far as their foreign relations and defense policies are concerned, in many areas, its member states, they have their own foreign relations and defense policies, and it is not the case that all the member states will unanimously have a consensus on a particular issue. For example, if you see the Iraqi invasion, the American invasion on Iraq, then Britain, it supported the American invasion, but on the other hand, Germany and France, they opposed the American policy. So the member states have their own defense policies and they may differ on their opinion regarding a particular policy or a particular circumstance or situation. So this ability of the member states to have their own defense policies and foreign relations proves to be a very important factor in limiting the ability of European Union to act in matters of foreign relations. Otherwise, if all the 27 will come on a consensus, then automatically it will have a more vast influence and they may become more dictatorial, because of course the power will be more when all will come on one issue. So this was all about a very important organization, and that is the European Organization. The second organization, before we start with the introduction of the second organization, I would like to tell you one thing, that if you see the political map of the world, then most of the Southeast Asian countries, they had suffered a lot due to colonialism. Their economies were in a very bad shape, their development was very slow, and they were suffering from various other problems. The non-aligned movement was also not very effective in solving their problems, so they needed an organization or an association which can be more effective in working for especially these Southeast Asian countries. And this led to the establishment of ASEAN, that is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, and this was established in 1967 by 5 countries which included Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore and Thailand. And they all signed the Bangkok Declaration, according to which the main aim of ASEAN was to accelerate the economic growth through social progress and cultural development. Important thing is far as ASEAN was concerned, that ASEAN did not expect to extend its supranational policies or issues like the European Union. And moreover, one very important difference between ASEAN and European Union was that ASEAN was basically based on countries which were very small and which were not very, you could say, which did not have a very accelerated economic growth. So the main objective of ASEAN was to just rapidify the economic growth in the region and to achieve the target of a particular level of growth in a particular span of time. So the one and the most important objective of ASEAN was to establish a rapid pace of economic growth in this region of Southeast Asian countries, which had suffered a lot during the period of colonialism and over the period which extended after that. So this was proved to be a very important organization in the region, and it played a very important role in increasing the speed of growth in these countries and bringing these countries to a much developed front. You must be knowing nowadays about these countries are very important centers of tourism now, and their rate of growth in these countries is much more rapid and they have developed at a much faster pace. We will be continuing the same topic in the next lecture. Till then, remember one thing. I would like all of you to study the organization European Union in detail, and on the basis of the events make a timeline which finally led to the formation of the European Union. Till then, keep studying and stay safe.